ahead and get started here. So good morning, everyone. This is Chris Sack giving you guys a call here. I am in beautiful sunny San Diego. And yeah, Les and I have been speaking over the last few weeks, and we set up this call for a few different purposes. So my role here at Conversion is I'm an account manager. And so bottom line, what I do is I work with brokerage accounts such as you guys, making sure that you and the agents are having phenomenal success with the system. Conversion is not a simple system necessarily out of the gate. And so what we always want to do is make sure our clients, one, they're leveraging this technology into their business, and two, you guys are making some money off of it. So my goal I really have for this call is to accomplish really two things. One, make sure at the end of this call you guys understand what your role is with conversion. So what should you be doing daily? If you only have 5 minutes today to spend on conversion, what should you be doing? And then second, I also want you guys to have a further understanding of what conversion is doing for you behind the scenes when you guys are out showing property or when you're at home or you have a social life. So hopefully you guys will find this beneficial. I will send you guys some material at the end as well. So just if you do have any questions, once again, I can't hear anyone on the audio side of it. So it's just a one-way conversation. However, there is a live chat. So that way, any questions, you guys just feel free to shoot the chat over to me. And if you guys want, if you prefer, Les, you could also send me an email with any questions that are maybe lingering or anything any of the agents want some clarification on. So we'll go ahead and get started here. Before we do, just want to make sure there's no questions yet. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and get started, and I'll continue to keep looking in this chat as well. So keep the questions coming if you guys do have any. So some housekeeping things with conversion. Conversion is a brilliant system. In my opinion, it's one of the best platforms in the real estate industry, and mainly what our agents are doing and how they're leveraging this system is to help cultivate current leads that they've got, whether it's a buyer or seller lead. So with that being said, that's what we're going to focus a majority of the call on. I do have some of my clients that are using it, to manage their existing client database as well. But that's not really why conversion was set up, but it doesn't mean that you can't do that. So today we're going to focus our time on, with these leads that you've got, why is conversion going to make your life and job a lot easier, and some of the features that you guys should be doing and taking a look at on a daily basis. So some housekeeping things. Google Chrome. So anytime that you use conversion, make sure that you are using Google Chrome for your web browser. There's certain features that will not work unless you do have Google Chrome running. So don't use Firefox, don't use Safari. Use Google Chrome for your web browser. The other thing is if you have a personal Gmail account, I recommend just logging out of any other Gmail accounts prior to logging into conversion. That way you've got your Gmail synced and everything comes through here. So Andrew, you're going to be my guinea pig here today, and I won't look through your emails in front of everyone, but you'll notice here there's a notification at the top that Andrew actually has his Gmail synced up, so anything conversion related, he's got it in one happy place. The other thing is a lot of agents don't prefer watching lead TV all day, so download our mobile app. We have an app for you. We have an app also for your clients, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But the mobile app for you guys, everything I'm covering and going over today, make sure that you have our app so that way when you're out in the field getting ready to show a property, if you're sitting in your car for a few minutes, you can always sit and log into conversion and follow up with some leads and take a look at some of the activity. So when you log into the dashboard though, you got the dashboard right here. By default, it takes you right to the screen. So you've got all your new notifications. Another thing too that I always tell my clients is pay attention to red within the system. We make your job and your life a lot easier, so all notifications are going to pop up. So Andrew, for example, he's got 5 calls that he has to make today. So we'll get in when we take a look at one of these leads, we'll take a look at the calls and what you guys should be doing. Another thing I always encourage my clients to do is schedule your next call. So these are call queues, whether conversion scheduled those or that's something that Andrew did. We'll take a look at those. But some other notifications, you've got emails. You can see who's been online in the last 15 minutes, or if someone's live right now on your site, you can do a web browser chat with them. And then new notifications. So when you were sleeping last night, this is what was happening. This is the type of activity that's been going on. So I'll show you some other spots where you can see some other notifications. Now, this is kind of your most pressing stuff along with the notification. So you've got a new lead, Andrew. So we'll talk about what to do with leads. You got 5 calls to make. And then this one over here. This is something, if you are drinking the conversion Kool-Aid, you're probably a part of this group. And if you're not drinking the conversion Kool-Aid yet, what I'd strongly encourage you to do, we have a Facebook mastermind group. And we've got about almost 6,900 people on it. But employees participate in conversations. Clients come on here and share different best practices that they're doing. But bottom line, piggyback on other agents that are successful with conversion and learn about what they're doing. So I cannot encourage you guys enough to join that Facebook mastermind group. And all you do is just in the dashboard, it should pop up right here. And if you just click a button, we'll take you right into that Facebook group. So a lot of great conversations that happen there with a lot of the top agents actually in the country. So pretty amazing. You keep scrolling down here, some other notifications you guys want to pay attention to. So you've got new leads, so pretty self-explanatory. You can see recently active leads, who's been on your site lately, what conversion is identified as your hottest lead. You can see missed calls. You can see new text. Now texting, this is something I don't want to just gloss over, but if you are not using texting in your real estate, you are missing out on a huge audience. If you talk about those millennials or you talk about a first-time home buyer you're working with, a lot of people do not want to return a phone call, especially from a realtor, but they will respond back to a text message. So our system, we've got some really cool features in regards to the texting, mass texting, that type of thing, but you need to start incorporating texting into your business if you're not already. So any new texts that do come through, they pop up right here. Upcoming reminders. There's no upcoming reminders. And a lot of our clients, they don't use these particular features, and the main reason is because they don't know and understand how they should be leveraging them. So I want this to be really clear here today is what you guys should be doing with every single lead. And then this stuff here towards the bottom, I'm going to kind of brush through it pretty quick, but pretty self-explanatory. So you can see Craigslist posts. We've got live chat on the website. These are the conversations that are happening. If you have your Google Calendar synced, that's going to be there. And then any changes that are happening with conversion. Here at the bottom, you've also got a training calendar. So today, we're going through obviously one of the trainings, but one I want to point out in particular is every Tuesday we have what are called weekly conversations. And so as you can see, this is advanced lead gen and what we call KV Ninja training. So this is one of our marketing gurus. He's also a licensed realtor, and he gives a lot of different best practices. He talks about different topics every single week, and they're not always conversion related. So, you know, ways to communicate with leads via text versus via email, different approaches in real estate, and just different ways to generate leads, and also better ways to convert leads that you've already got in your pipeline. So that's really, you know, my crash course in regards to the dashboard itself. So I'm just going to pause here for just a second, give you guys a second to ask any questions at all in regards to what I just showed. All right, beautiful. I'll take the awkward silence as a good thing. If you guys do have any questions, once again, I cannot hear you, so send it through the live chat there, which you should see on your screen. So now that we've covered some of the basics and kind of the overview from 10,000 feet, let's dive in to where you guys are going to spend the majority of your life. So a few different statuses that we have, and I'll explain what each one of these mean, but you've got active leads. Active leads is someone who conversion is sending what we call our conversion emails to. You can call those behavioral or smart emails, if you will. We're sending property alerts, so new listings via email. And then we're going to continue to engage and try and set up calls for you based on behavior that we see. Now you've got a client status. At some point, you're going to have a conversation with these leads. You're out showing them property. They're getting pre-qualified. At some point, you're going to want to tell the system, hey, conversion, back off a little bit. I've got this guy. So when you mark a client, the only thing we send a client are new listings via email. And then it's up to you any other communications that you do want to set up or send to that lead. Past clients signed on the dotted line, you still keep them in the system. We'll talk about ways to use conversion and retention briefly here. And then here at the bottom, inactive leads and unsubscribed leads. So an inactive lead, I don't want you guys to neglect these people because in my opinion, this is still a phenomenal audience that you've got. An inactive lead is someone who has not been to conversion in 90 days. So that doesn't mean that they're not interested in purchasing real estate. It just means they haven't been active in the last 90 days. So a lot of agents, I would recommend taking a look at your inactive leads. A lot of times those leads weren't set up on property alerts, and that's why they haven't been coming back to the site. Unsubscribed leads, at any time you or the lead can unsubscribe themselves. And those people I wouldn't put too much time and effort into. If someone does say, hey, take me off your list, I typically just move on. All right, I thought I had a question come through there, but all right, so let's get into the active lead section. So active leads, a couple different things with the system. So overall, you've got 102 leads, Andrew, and you can see all of these columns you can sort. And so if you hover your mouse over any one of these, you're going to notice it does pop up, and you can see exactly what's going on here. 1 second here. I think you guys are calling me, Les. All right, so we're back on there. So Les picked up the phone and called, and yeah, let me know. Some people weren't able to see the screen. So now we should be back on. So I'm going to back up just briefly, just so you guys can see what we've already covered here. So in the dashboard itself, that's right when you log into the system. This is what we were taking a look at here briefly. So you've got dashboard, and these are all the different notifications that we were just taking a look at. So we're there, and then we briefly covered as well the active leads here on the left, clients, past clients, inactive leads, and then unsubscribed. So in regards to where you guys are going to spend the majority of your time, if you click on the active leads here on the left again, it'll take you into this section here, and you'll see all your leads. Now, as I mentioned, all of these columns are sortable, but now you guys everyone should be able to see exactly what we're looking at here. So you can see lead has a valid phone number. You can see email address. You can see what's going on as far as how many properties they've viewed, or if you guys are interested in certain markets, maybe you got a new listing in Jupiter or Boca Raton, you can take a look and filter all of these different columns. Now, one in particular I'm going to point out, and Andrew, this is not to throw you under the bus or any of the agents who aren't using this yet, but what I typically love my agents to do is make sure that every single lead that they have that has a phone number, you want to schedule your next call. And the reason why is, yeah, you can be reactive with the system, and conversion will tell you, hey, you need to call Brian because you looked at this house 10 times. But what I recommend doing is scheduling that next call, or anytime that you get a new lead, come up with a process and a procedure as far as how many times you want to call that lead. So we'll dive in there. The other thing, too, as I mentioned, there's some other features, and we'll cover this probably on an additional marketing call when we cover marketing and lead gen. But you have the ability within the system to also do email blast and text blast. So if Andrew real quick wanted to send out a text to all of the leads that he's got, he could come in and just simply check that box and say, hi, my name is Andrew, and I am awesome. And he could simply hit send and send that out to the world if he wanted to. So Andrew, even though you are awesome, I'm not going to send that out. But some of these features you guys want to start using, but I want to make sure everyone's using some of the basics because I got to teach you guys really how to walk before we can run. So on our next call, we'll get into more on the lead gen side, ways to generate free leads within the system. But today I want to really still focus on what type of things that you guys should be doing on a daily basis. So with that being said, let's dive in. Let's take a look at a couple different leads that we've got in the system and see what things I would be, if I were in your shoes, what I would take a look at. So as soon as you click on a lead profile, you're going to see at the top, she's a subscribed active lead, Tricia Dunham. Middle of the screen here, she's actually on your call queue here today. The reason for the call, this lead hasn't been called in 54 days. Call them at this number and then click one of the 3 buttons. Doesn't get any easier than that. So that's like when my mom, when I was little, used to do the, she fed me and she did the little airplane noise. Doesn't get any easier than this. So that's all you need to do. And then we'll get into what we should do with this particular lead if you don't get in touch with her today. Another thing that you're going to notice is this paragraph right here. Anytime that you have a lead in the system, Conversion studies that lead, and we spit out data and give you guys some feedback and information on what's going on with this particular lead. So you'll notice this Cliff Notes version, really, of what's going on with this lead. They viewed 239 properties, mostly single family in Boynton Beach, 3-bedroom, 2-bath for around $259. She first signed up 83 days ago, and she was active yesterday. Tricia was generated by visiting your subdomain. So good job, Andrew. You're doing probably some lead gen on the Facebook side, and it looks like this lead came through Facebook. The best time to reach Tricia is between 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time. That's because that's the times we notice she continues to come back to the website. So pay attention to that opening paragraph. I don't expect you guys to come in and know everything that's going on with your leads, but if you guys can just do one simple thing and just read that opening paragraph, it is huge. And so some other things here on the right-hand side, you'll notice that there's an activity summary. You can see some basic stats. Now, these 2 things, I really want to point these out here. So subscribed. The lead who's subscribed, they're getting emails from the system. They're getting new properties. Now, at some point, you're going to get people. You can't make everyone happy, and I'm sorry if that's bad news for anyone. But at some point, you're going to get someone who says, hey, take me off your list. Don't send me an email. I already bought a house, blah, blah, blah. Perfect. With one click of a button, that'll turn off all phone, text, and email correspondence, including listing alerts. And then it'll put them into this bucket of unsubscribed leads. So it'll take them out of active leads and now dump them into the unsubscribed list, or as I like to call them, the angry elves. Have a nice day. Now, next section of people here is we've got working with this lead. So if you think about who these people are, at some point you're going to have conversations. You're going to get appointments from this system. You're out showing property. They're getting pre-qualified. At some point you can tell Conversion, hey, you know what, I'm working with this lead. Now when you click this button, that makes them a client. So it moves them from the active lead status right into the client status. Now, I have a lot of clients that, they really overly use this feature. So you can do that. What I would recommend is if you're having a conversation, don't put yourself in a situation where you look funny. So, Andrew, for example, if you talk to Tricia today for an hour and she tells you she's relocating from Minnesota, and then you don't tell the system that, Conversion might send an email and ask if they're relocating, and Tricia's kind of scratching her head saying, hey, what is this guy doing? So make sure any lead that you are communicating with, and just my general rule of thumb, clients always ask, Chris, when should I change a client? I always say anytime that you're in a conversation and you're engaged with a lead, I would recommend changing it back to a client. And so you can also change them back into an active lead status, and I'll show you guys that here in just a moment. Some other things, hashtags. That's something I'd strongly encourage you guys to start using. If you think of segmenting or almost profiling the leads that you're working with. I'm not going to go into too much detail on hashtags, but it is something I'd encourage you guys to start doing. Hashtags are a simple way of identifying a lead. So maybe you've got someone who's a relocation lead or a first-time home buyer. So you can do all of these different type of hashtags within the system. And actually, I was doing it in the wrong spot, but this box right here. So start using the hashtags all of the hashtags show up in one happy place over here on the left, and it looks like you guys have already been doing a pretty good job on using those. At the bottom here, you've got popular properties. This particular lead's looked at this one house 7 times. That's fantastic. If they saved or bookmarked any houses, you can see that. Talking text points. Maybe you don't know what to say to the lead. You can click this button and Conversion basically types a message for you, and all you have to do is just click it to send. Notifications. What red flags has the system in Conversion told you about this particular lead? So these are all the notifications that have ever happened with this lead. So some really a lot of the basics. And then on the left-hand side, we pulled this, it looks like probably from her Facebook profile, and you'll notice that we did some research on this lead. We've got email. She's set up on property alerts, and it looks like emails are coming back as subscribed and deliverable. And then some other basics here on the left. You can see phone number, the area code, time zone that they're in, and then also if they're a seller. So sellers is a big topic right now. If you think about it, I would strongly encourage you to start leveraging Conversion for the sell side, because if you think about a buyer lead, I always tell agents, a lot of agents think, hey, I work with buyers and sellers. But in reality, you either work with a homeowner or a renter. And so a lot of buyers in the system, and the trick question I always ask my agents that I coach is, if you've got 1,000 buyer leads in the system, how many of those are homeowners that are thinking of selling? And a lot of agents have no idea. So in the next training, we'll cover a little bit of that and how we can help convert more on the sell side. And then uses mobile. So an interesting stat for you guys is close to 70% of our traffic actually comes from a mobile device, someone on their cell phone or a tablet. That is huge. And so we've got a big focus on the mobile side, obviously, in our technology. Conversion site automatically is mobile responsive. What that means is if someone's on their cell phone, we make Conversion look good. So that is the kind of the basic overview section. And I will cover here in just a couple minutes if you got a lead who doesn't have a phone number, but we do have a phone number for this lead. So this next section I'm going to fly through here, guys. But you've got profile. You want to update contact information, any of some of the basic stuff. You want to add in their Facebook profile. There's some extra fields that you can add. You can see what type of lead status. You can send them over to a lender. You can see what drip campaign that they are on, current drip day. And then if you ever wanted to transfer that, to another agent, you wanted to share it with an agent, or if you wanted to combine it. So maybe you got a husband and wife and they each have the same profile. And then you've got seller's information here at the bottom, where if you do get them on the phone or email them back and find out they're thinking of listing, you can put in their address right here in the profile. So I'm going to pause here just for a second. I want to make sure no questions, comments, concerns at all. Perfect. Just a reminder, I can't hear anyone on the phone physically, so if you do have any questions, just use the live chat that we've got. So you've got activity. Now, activity, this is everything that you can see that lead has looked at. And if you hover your mouse over it, you'll notice it'll pop up MLS description. You get kind of a real quick snapshot of what's going on with that property. So all of this, pretty self-explanatory, won't cover too much of it. However, I do want to point out one thing, and this is something a lot of agents don't realize. So a lot of agents with other systems, they typically pull up, they'll pull up Conversion, and then they'll pull up their MLS just in case they have to do research on this property. Now, what you can do within Conversion is you can simply click right onto a property itself. And when you do, it pulls it up in the MLS as if you are the listing or you're the agent and you're trying to find out additional information. You want to see seller's notes. So you'll notice for this property, looks like there's an open house this weekend. You can see any notes that they've got right there. You can see who the listing agent is, and then also a link to the property. Now over here on the right, you guys will notice that for any houses that are price reductions, if that exists in your market, it'll show up right here in this area. You can see how many price reductions, the last price drop that it had, all of that is shown here. The other thing is here at the bottom, this is something I would recommend you guys exploring a little bit more. If you get a lead who's really interested in one house, and then all of a sudden, let's say that property goes off the market, you want to make sure that you've got some similar properties that you can put on their radar. And so if you take a look here at the bottom, conversion shows you some similar properties to that specific listing. Or if you want to see physically what's nearby. So this house is 0.3 miles away from this listing. You can see what's just listed there. And then if you wanted to, what you could do is you could simply, let's say maybe you wanted to pick these 3 random properties and you wanted to send it to that lead. You could just hit, hey, I want to send and add these selected to the saved list. And so as soon as you click on the saved list, it'll populate those right here. And then from there, you can either text or email that list of these 3 properties right to them. So it saves you guys a lot of time and a lot of effort. So pay attention to that feature. And if I were you guys, I would explore that a little bit further. All right, let's get back into Trisha's profile. So once again, you can find that in the activity, or you can also just search the MLS number right up here. The Alerts tab. Now the Alerts tab, in my opinion, this is the most important feature on any real estate website. The only reason people are coming back to your real estate website is because you're sending them new listings via email. So I want you guys to be comfortable with this. And if there's 2 things that you should be doing on every single lead, this is one of them. Make sure people have property alerts set up. If not, they're never going to come back to the website. So if you take a look at the alerts, you guys should be pretty familiar with this, but you'll notice the listing type. Looks like you guys have a lot of different options there in Florida. You can also see different options. So foreclosure, short sales, or no, I don't want to send them foreclosures. So all of these options, and this is pulled right from your MLS. So if you guys ever see anything in here that's not on your MLS that's not in conversion, just let us know. But otherwise, we do a pretty good job of keeping that updated. Looks like you guys also have something for membership and some of the other basics. So good stuff. Now, when we were in the overview section, I always told you guys to pay attention to this opening paragraph. If you don't want to click back and forth between those 2 tabs, you'll notice that information is also pulled right here in the summary on the left. So that way you don't have to click back and forth. So this particular lead, hopefully they're set up for Boynton Beach. It looks like 3-bedroom, 2-bath for around $259. So hopefully that's what you're sending this particular lead. And it looks like for the most part you're doing a good job on that. So pay attention to that. Now, I will point out also on the MLS or the alerts is a few different options. So you can do city. Anytime you select a column over here, this section, or what we call the value area here, that's where you would type it in. So for example, maybe they want to get properties sent in these specific cities, but they also want to target a specific county or maybe a middle school, elementary school, high school. They could do that. And you can also set it up to send it by MLS area, specific zip codes, neighborhoods. So, you know, I know there's a lot of different communities there that you have in Florida. So pay attention to this. Now, what I do recommend with a new lead is you want to keep the alerts a little more broad than narrow. A lot of time agents get really, really anxious and say, no, I don't want to send this lead anything that they're not looking at. But keep in mind, you do have to let them shop a little bit. So the same way that when me and my wife, we go to the mall, she always goes into the diamond store and she takes a look at the $1 million rings. Not because I can afford them, but because people like to shop. And then as soon as they do start shopping, you'll notice their behavior changing, or a pattern for this lead. We know realistically what they're looking at. She might have looked at a $1 million house when she started as well, but really, really common behavior. So if you scroll down, you've got bedrooms, bath. You guys should be really familiar with that and what you use. Now, if you're working with the husband and wife, husband says, hey, I need you to send my wife property alerts as well. Perfect. You can just type in whatever their email address is right there. Now, frequency. So we added a feature a few months back, and it's instant alerts. Now, this sounds like a really cool feature, and it is. However, the one thing I will warn you is if there's 300 new properties coming on the market for the search that you have set up for them, they're going to get 300 communications from you. So, and those happen instantly. So a lot of our clients, what they'll do is daily or biweekly. The instant alerts do get quite a few people actually viewing them, though. So you can try it out, but yeah, my personal recommendation is either doing daily or biweekly. And then just make sure anytime that you do make any adjustments on this page, you just click and make sure you're updating it right there. Now, anytime that you do update the alerts or anytime you want to take a look at, hey, what is conversion sending my lead as far as properties, you're going to notice right below, so you click on the alerts, right below the alert one, you can see what we call the alert one results. So you can see all of the properties that we've been sending this lead here. So I want to pause there. It's a really, really important feature. So any questions at all from anyone? You guys are easy today. All right, so going through, and I'll go through these next couple tabs relatively quickly here. So files, this is a file section where you can upload files right into the system. Me and you are the only ones that see these files, so the lead can't see this. So for agents who are familiar with Dropbox, this is similar to Dropbox, but it's Google's version, which is Google Drive. So you get 15 gig, I believe. They might have just increased it, but 15 gig, which is plenty of room to put a lot of different files in the system. Notes, if you click on New Note here, I want to show you guys a few little things here. So maybe you pick up the phone and you call this lead and you get Trish on the phone. She tells you, hey, I'm in Europe traveling for the next month. Call me in September. Perfect. So you can come in here, and maybe since you were sharing this lead with another agent, you could say, hey, Barbara, they are in Europe. We'll follow up in September. So you can tag people simply by putting just the @ sign, and then it'll pull up all the options as far as who you can tag. Same way that any agents that are familiar with tagging people on Facebook. You can also do a hashtag, so automatically it includes a hashtag into this lead profile. So maybe you found out they were pre-qualified, so you can do hashtag pre-qual. The other thing is at the bottom, you can set reminder dates. So you can tell the system, hey, this lead told me that they're going to be traveling. So first week of September, I'm going to reach out. Conversion told me the best time and day to contact them was this. And then you can add a call. So you can schedule your next call for that particular lead. Now, as soon as you add that note, you're going to have a notification that pops up in your notifications, whether you did schedule a call or you just had a reminder set up. Conversion will now queue up that next call or that next notification based on that note and behavior. Now, if you scroll down, you're going to see, looks like all the notes that you've got. You can come in and edit it if you do make those notes editable. And then one thing a lot of clients, they tend to neglect is we've got this section called conversion data validation. So once again, I'm in the note section, and if you scroll down, you're going to see we do some background. So we get the CIA going and taking a look at a lot of your leads. But no, you can see what's going on with this lead. It looks like Tricia, she's a female located in West Palm Beach. Looks like she's a financial solutions advisor. There's a website. There is a Facebook and LinkedIn profile. It looks like we also found a phone number for her. Based on what we saw, the phone number is good. The name that we pulled from that, it looks like, is Bernadine Roberts, and there's an address and everything there attached to it. So sometimes you'll get a seller's, their personal listing address number. Sometimes you'll get a landline, and it'll pull up a landline phone number. But I always recommend to my agents, come in and take a look at the data validation. You'll be surprised with what conversion does when we do some intel on those leads. Now we're going to be wrapping up here in the next 5 minutes, so want to really tie in and kind of close up in regards to some other things I'd recommend you guys doing. So for any agents taking notes, or you got a Post-it note, and you want to keep conversion as simple as possible. I'm a big fan of, the whole KISS mentality. Keep it simple, stupid, right? And so it's a difficult thing to do sometimes, not only in sales, but also when it comes to time management with these type of systems. So anytime that you get a new lead, there's 2 things I want you guys to do. 1, property alerts. Make sure every single lead has property alerts. And 2, anyone that has a phone number, I want you guys to schedule the next call. If you do those 2 basic things, essentially you're putting conversion on autopilot. So what I'd encourage you to do is every day you log into the system and you pay attention to the notifications. Okay, conversion told me I need to do these calls. Okay, what else? Oh, I had a couple reminders, and it looks like Tracy saved a listing, so let me do some research on that lead. And then all you simply do is just take a look at what your new leads are that are coming in and making sure that they're set up on property alerts. Once you pick up the phone and you call them or you text them, then I want you to schedule your next call. So to schedule your next call, obviously you've got to have a phone number. And if you click on schedule a call, you can put in your call notes. So same thing. So time in the day, all of that. You can sync to Google. So if you're out in the field, it'll pop up on your Google Calendar or however you have it set up on your phone. Now this feature here, you got a lot of Keller Williams agents, and they drink a lot of the Ben Kinney Kool-Aid and the 10 Days of Pain. And so what they do is they say, hey, I want to call a lead 10 times. Any new lead that I get, I want to call 10 times in the first 2 weeks that they come through the system. So you can come in and tell conversion, hey, I want to call this lead 10 times over the next 2 weeks. And a lot of my clients also ask, Chris, can I use the same type of feature for my past clients? Absolutely. So when you sell someone a house, schedule 2 calls over the next year. And then call Betty Sue and ask them how their new house and their dog Fluffy's doing. But when you're doing this type of things, you're setting up conversion really to not only work for you, but also you're working really on autopilot. And so if you have these calls scheduled, it's just a matter of you logging into the database, keeping it really, really simple. Anything more than that, obviously if you need to generate more business, on our next call, we're going to cover that. So ways to generate leads and everything. But I really want to stop and dwell on how important it is to schedule the next call. So once again, any lead that has a phone number is going to have this calls tab. You click on this button that says schedule a call, and then the big button that I'm a big fan of is repeat calls. And just simply telling conversion how many times that you want to call this person and over what period of time. So 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, 3 months, 6, 12 months, or 2 years. So I'm a big fan of that. So I always like to just really pause and emphasize that to my clients. Now correspondence, you can see all email, text communications that came through. So a lot of times clients, they know that conversion's working for them and they want to know what we're sending. This is it. Also, if you scroll down here, you're going to notice that we tell you what we're going to be sending in the future. Hey Chris, what are you guys sending next? So you can see that there's 6 touches that are scheduled. You can see if it's an email or if it's a text message. And you'll notice the next one's planning on going out on August 10th and then on August 30th. So Andrew set up a specific campaign, it looks like, and you can always change those as well. So I'm not going to cover that here today, but you can change the communications or create your own drip campaign if you don't like the verbiage that we're speaking. What I would recommend, though, is majority of our clients, they just use the conversion default drip emails that we have because they work. But you can always see what communications are going out simply from the correspondence tab. And then Gmails, you can see all of the Gmails that you've got all in one happy place. So one last thing I'm going to show you guys here, and then I'll open it up for some Q&A for everyone. So if we get into the active lead section, as I mentioned, you can sort all of these columns. So some homework I'm going to give you guys is you need to log into your database, and when you get into your dashboard, just click on active leads. And when you do, I want you to click on this little envelope twice. And when you do that, it's going to show you all the leads that you have that are not set up on property alerts. So it looks like, Andrew, out of the 102, you only have 5 people that do not have property alerts. That's your first thing. If you want to generate basically 5 new leads today, that's all you need to check. Make sure you set them up for property alerts. Also, you can take a look at your inactive leads, because a lot of times that's the same thing. So, Andrew, you got 78 people who are considered inactive leads, and typically a lot of these people aren't set up on property alerts, and that's why they never came back to the site. So a little bit of homework there, but if you spend 20, 30 minutes doing this, you will immediately notice a huge increase in activity and people coming back to the website. And so the one last thing I wanted to show you guys, though, is what happens if you got a lead who doesn't have a phone number. So David Rodriguez, for example, Sandy Allen, and I know they don't have a phone number because there's not a little phone next to their name here. So I'm going to pick a good one here. Let's take a look at lead. So Sunshine. You'll notice here on the system there's this red drop-down menu. So if you click on that, you're going to notice a few quick things that you can do with the system, but you'll notice here towards the bottom, this is where it gets fun, but what you can do is you can do searches on all of these different websites. And so if you talk about you going to work and actually taking a look at your leads, so you can find them on Google. You can search a website called people.com. I've been using People for years, and I'm a big fan of it. You can see if they have a Facebook profile set up with that email address, or LinkedIn. What do they do for a living? So if you take a look at Sunshine, for example, let's do a search there. Oh, I see what happened here. 1960.cw. For some reason, I don't know why I did that. There we go. So we can do a search for a specific lead based on what we see there. You can see LinkedIn profile. Now, I'm in San Diego, so it's going to pull people who are close to me that relate to that. But this is just a great way for you to actually find out additional information on a lead. Spokio is another one. So once again, where you find that information is right in the drop-down here, what would you like to do? And you can just simply do research on your leads from clicking on any of these websites right here. So with that being said, just want to recap real quick, and we'll wrap up with this here. So in regards to conversion, I always recommend to my clients, keep it simple. And so two things you guys need to be doing on a daily basis. Just make sure you log into the system, and any time that you get a new lead, once again, you set up property alerts. And then any lead that you have a phone number for, I want you to pick up the phone and call or text, and then I want you to schedule your next call. And then now that you know this little trick for anyone who doesn't have a phone number, I want you to also do research and try and see if you can get an additional phone number. If you do that really to start, and that's one thing I want you guys to get really comfortable with over the next week or two. And we've got another appointment scheduled. That next call is going to go over a lot of fun stuff. And that is more into the lead gen side of it. So a lot of agents don't realize that they have a Craigslist auto poster. They can write blogs, or even that they can purchase traffic right from the all a cart menu. So if you want to get buyer and seller leads starting tomorrow, you could simply come in and purchase some leads, and within a couple days you'll start seeing the traffic coming through. So that'll be on the next call. But at this time I am going to open it up for some Q&A. And if you guys could, once again, I can't hear you guys, but if you do have any questions, feel free to let me know. And if you could, just send it through the live chat here. All righty, I'll take the awkward silence as a good thing. That means I hopefully did a good job. But yeah, if you guys do have any questions at all, please pass those on to Les, and then Les, feel free to email me any questions, comments, concerns. Just a reminder for all the agents as well is anytime you ever have any questions, you can just simply click on this question mark right here, and it'll pull up a search. You can also send us a message as well. Typically, it's about a 24-hour turnaround time, but they're typically faster than that. But any questions, comments, concerns that you guys have, you can always email us directly at support@conversion.com as well, and call us at 303-720-7829. So if we don't have any other questions, we'll wrap up here. And it was fantastic to meet you all. Hopefully you guys found this helpful. And if you do have any other questions at all, feel free to let us know. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. And once again, thanks for your time today.